Okay, hello everybody. Apologies for the delay. There's been a multitude of things have been going on. First of all, there is a time difference between here and the US. Secondly, since the last time we were talking, there's also been the clocks have changed, so there's an extra hour of difference. So a bit of a mess up there. And technology is an absolute whenever you can't get it to do what it is you want it to do. But anyway, this evening, I'm really happy to be talking again with Sara Crouson from Cluster B Milkshake from her channel. And I just, Sara, please, for anyone who's not familiar with your work that might be watching on my channel, just introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Sara, and I came up with Cluster B Milkshake because when I started my channel before my diagnosis, I knew that I had NPD, but I knew that I also probably had other stuff, and I didn't know what it was, really. So I put milkshake because cluster B personality disorders is the narcissism, borderline, antisocial, histrionic. And I'm like, okay, I know I got a combo of something. And I wanted to start my channel because I did not see, number one, no female narcissists out there. This was like 4 years ago. So I didn't see any female narcissists out there. So I needed to throw my hat in the ring really quick so I could be the first person out there. Number two, people were not talking about the inner workings that was going on with a narcissist that I saw. There might have been like some small creators or something out there on TikTok because I wasn't on TikTok. And I wanted to talk about, what's actually going on inside, because all I'm hearing is how narcissists, they target you for destruction. And I'm like, F you, that is not real. Sure, we can do that with like throwaway people, secondary supply sources, just people to, like toilet paper, just somebody to boost our self-esteem. We don't care. It's not like coming at you for destruction, like somebody who's a sadist, right? But I do believe that from the perspective of the people that we're with, that is what it feels like 100%. It's just, it's not the motive, but I also tell people that it really doesn't matter. It matters how you feel. So my channel is not only to talk about what's going on with this disorder, but to validate other people's feelings as well, because narcissistic people will defend our shame, use you to boost our self-esteem, dismiss, deny, and, that's our defense. If you're going to make me feel like shit, I'm going to make you feel like shit for trying to make me feel like shit. And, of course, as you know, this disorder has lots of nooks and crannies. It's not super simple that people make it out to be online. And I learned a lot. Yeah, I learned a lot about myself and, still learning things over 4 years. Like I was watching your seminar that you posted like 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, on the family cult and stuff. And while I'm watching it, because I'm a mother, but I'm also a daughter, so I'm watching it and I'm switching back and forth to me being in the daughter role, growing up in that type of environment, and then me being the mother, with my 3 children. And it was a very tough watch, and I had to stop it several times, and I haven't gotten through the whole thing because it was making me feel a certain way, on both sides. But I mean, there was a lot of shame going on, because I'm like, oh my God, my children, thinking about what they have gone through, because I'm a victim of my mother and father, but my kids, they're a victim of me and my husband, because I only date cluster B personality disorders. I don't date sweet men. They can't handle me. I would hurt them. I would hurt their feelings. So I don't date those guys.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I remember the last time we were talking, you'd mentioned that when you had your son, you'd been using drugs, alcohol, things like that, and having your son gave you a focus to
Yes.
come off that, to clean yourself up.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
thought that was really revealing, really interesting when you said that. You also mentioned even as an adult, you're still very, very close to your son.
Um,
At least-
Not since my divorce,
Oh, okay.
which was 4 years ago, only because with narcissistic parents, there's a spectrum of how we treat our kids, as you
Yeah.
know, that there's, the golden child scapegoat, enabling shit, the
Mhm.
lost child, everything that you talked about. And so when I was learning about, I'm basically a toxic parent, pushing all these ideas and stuff on how my kids are supposed to be,
Mhm.
I kind of broke that bond because it was toxic and I wanted to leave them alone and let them be
Mhm.
their own. I didn't want to smother, I didn't want to be all up their ass in their life. I didn't want to enmesh, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, I felt really disgusting too.
Okay.
I felt like, even though I thought I was a really good mom and that was my whole identity and stuff, I felt fucking gross. Like, why don't you go away so I don't have to see what I've done, type thing, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering, with the awareness that came up then, is it and recognizing your own upbringing, your own mother, was there part of that maybe about trying to break the cycle?
I already
Or
know
or is it or sorry, go ahead.
I already know that the damage is done, you know,
Mhm.
up here.
Okay.
So I I I kind of just check in with the golden child like once a month and stuff, and just check in with him, how's it going and everything, and I don't talk about myself, it's all about the kids, what's going on, how are you and stuff, and I like to be just the support system and everything, and not nothing with me. I'll just give them like updates, like really quick updates, but I don't, having children, it's the child, it's not, I
Mhm.
need the child to boost my self-esteem, so it's like
Mhm.
I don't want to do that.
So I'm wondering there, when you were mentioning the seminar that I was talking at, is it the when you were looking at things like the living vicariously through the kids?
I was no, I wasn't that type of a parent. I was like, they were my identity of, I'm going to be a better parent than I was parented, type
Uh-huh.
thing. I wasn't like the PTA mom or anything. I'm a introvert. I don't like doing that shit or anything like that. But driving them where they need to go, making sure they got their homework, whatever. I basically grew up with my first child. I
Mm.
had him like a month before my 21st birthday, and you're still a kid anyway, right? And so basically, he was with me. I grew up with him, so he was like, my little buddy, and that's bad too. People, don't fucking do that. Don't do that. Let them pick their own lives and do their own thing. But I always put my children ahead of my husband. So,
Mhm.
I was the protector. Don't yell at them. Don't do not. Bleh. You go through me, and then I'll go and tell them what to do. I'm the boss. I run the family that way. But I was married to a very strong personality, narcissistic person. But I needed that. Otherwise, I run all over, these boys, these men. So I need a strong personality to where he'll let me have my way and everything. But if I need to show respect to him, type thing.
So, I'm just wondering when it comes to having your son, first of all, you wanted something to focus outside of yourself.
Yes.
When it came to your husband, you felt you needed someone to rein you in.
I don't let anybody control me.
I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but
Yeah. I have to fear my partner in
mhm,
the sense of, I have to have respect for him, or he's going to throw me under the bus, or, uh, tell me to eat shit or discard me or whatever. I need to have a strong personality that he loves me and he wants to be with me, but he's strong enough to tell me to fuck off, if I'm not going to treat him
mhm.
with respect. But he was taking care of the family. He would, "Hi, can you go get me some booze at the store?" And he would run to the store for me and stuff like that. But and he was we're a very sarcastic family, so a lot of people can't deal with sarcasm in narcissistic relationships because it
Mhm,
can get really abrasive,
mhm.
dark sometimes, belittling. But if you grew
I
up in
call
that,
it unkind humor.
yeah, so if you've grown up in that type of environment, which he did and I did, we can talk like that and it's okay. And nobody's but hurt, sensitive, or sad. There was no walking on eggshells, let's just say, because it was just like, F you, you don't, fuck you. And then we would forget about it and just move on. Where healthier people in relationships, they want to communicate in a healthy way, they want to grow and shit like that, but there's no growth, there's no nothing. It's like, you take
Mm.
care of the kids, you go to work, I have my job, you have yours, we do fun things and we joke around and stuff.
It's of the moment, it's situational.
Right. um uh and we wouldn't fight all the time, you know that's why when I was starting my channel and stuff and reading people's stories, and I'm just like, what the fuck did these guys go through? Who the hell? I didn't understand. That's why it was so hard for me. I'm like, I'm a good person. how
Mhm,
how the hell um is everybody getting destroyed by my personality? How is that possible? This is when I started out researching and stuff. I didn't
uh-huh,
get it. I didn't understand. I didn't know what gaslighting was. I didn't know what Darvo was. I didn't know what, blame shifting was. I didn't know all the shit in the CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy
mhm,
steps and everything. I didn't know what mind reading was, projection, splitting. Oh, that one was interesting. That one was interesting to find out and really pay attention to, because you're
mhm,
like, you split on somebody, you just lose your mind. You just totally lose your mind. And you can just hate this person with everything in your body
mm,
and totally forget anything good you have ever done for me or any good things
mhm.
I've ever thought about you.
It's like that all gets canceled out.
Yes. It's crazy town when it becomes when it's brought into your awareness, when you actually have insight
Mhm,
the way that your mind works. You're just like, oh my God, I am a crazy person. This is weird. This is weird because I can snap out of that split and then
uh-huh,
everything's fine. So I'm okay. Why are you upset? Why are you still upset? I'm totally fine because the split
mm,
is over. It's like, why are you so distraught, Darren? Why are you so angry? Oh, because I told you should kill yourself, yesterday. Well, I don't feel like that now, Darren. Why are you so mad?
why are you still holding on to the pain? Yeah,
Yeah. And so when I understood that, I was like, oh, okay. So that is something that's a me problem.
mhm,
That's something that when I feel the anger starting to build up, whether it's an annoyance, a resentment, if you caused an injury in me through a criticism, or
Mm-hmm.
try to shame me in any way, which you could not be doing it on purpose, I would have to, take a minute, and sometimes I would have to leave, but I need to say I need to take some space so I can just process this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes like 24 hours. One time it took like 4 days or whatever, just to process all of this and journal and write it down. And why am I upset? Is this something that's been reoccurring throughout your life? Is it something that happened with your parents that's now coming up now in this current relationship that was a trigger for you? It's a lot of work trying not to destroy your partner, right? It's a lot of work. But I know that it's worth it, you know, now. In the past, it's all survival mode. It's you have to
Right.
do what I say to keep me from being anxious. And what calms my anxiety is controlling you.
To manage your triggers for you.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yes. And this is why you guys walk on eggshells, which would really make me angry, because I don't like people walking on eggshells. I want you to fight, fight back. I need to get out this energy. And, but I'll tell you this, when you don't fight, the energy has no place to go. That's
Mm-hmm.
why gray rocking works so well. It's got
Mm-hmm.
nowhere to go. So, and I'm not an abusive, physically abusive person. So I'm not going to try to, hurt you to get you to react. It's just going to fizzle out,
Yeah.
or I'll crash out online.
So so it either just dissipates naturally, but it might take a longer period of time. So it either just dissipates naturally, or you say you crash out online. Would that mean you go online and you, for want of a better term, you have a rant or whatever?
Yes, I'll have a rant, which people call smears.
Mm-hmm.
There's a spectrum in smears too. It's
Mm.
my truth. This is how I feel. There's also projected truth. I'm projecting all the things I feel about myself and I'm dumping them on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's people that actually make up like complete lies, right? But I have never done that.
Complete fiction.
I've never done that. It's like, but if you feel like if I'm holding a resentment towards you and you don't know what the resentment is, and I crash out online and I'm saying everything that I resent you for, you're going to think I'm making shit up. But this is real to me. It's just I never told you type thing.
Mm.
And I've talked to other people, where that's happened. It's like they're talking shit about me to their family. And I'm like, because this is how they really feel. They just did not say it to you because there's a lot of fear of conflict. It's
Mm.
weird. It's like I do like to fight and everything, but on the flip side, it's like there's a fear of conflict where I feel like one of my defenses is to accuse you,
Mm-hmm.
instead of communicate, because that's being vulnerable. It's my
Where'd you go,
alarm saying
Sarah?
we're ready. Anyway,
I was wondering, just picking up on
yeah,
something you
it's
said there.
believe me, I'm very confused about my own disorder. I'm
Uh-huh.
confused about feelings that I never tapped into because I let the anger protect me from the mushy center, you know, the tears, the inner child that's all
If I can,
sad and shit. Okay, let's talk about
it was the wounds, the either the criticism or the perceived criticism. Talking
yeah.
about, let me see, I'll just call up the question. Yeah, it's what kind of causes is it something real? Is it something perceived? And how do you experience that?
Okay, so we are very hypersensitive. I think
Mm-hmm.
people can totally understand. I have been in many relationships with different types of narcissistic people and other cluster Bs. And What I've noticed is some of them are very hyper to criticism.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even joke with them, not even a joke. Now, they can talk all the shit they want to you, but you can't say anything to them or they get really butt hurt. And then there's when you find out what's really important to the narcissistic person.
Mm-hmm.
So say you got the dramatic narcissist where it's all about their body and stuff, right? And if you criticize their workouts, their eating habits, their, the way they look or their hair, or, you talk any bit of shit about the thing that they need the self-esteem boost
Mm-hmm.
to, if you injure them in that way, even though you don't mean anything, like, doesn't that have a lot of sugar in it or something? And then they'll bite your head off because, oh, I can't just have a treat. I just can't have, I have to be perfect all the time when
Mm-hmm.
they have to be perfect all the time. So they're projecting their perfectionism onto you, being critical of them when they're critical of themselves. And that'll go for, the cerebral, the intelligent thinker, and
Mm-hmm.
you challenge them on knowledge or something. And it doesn't really matter what it is. It could be even a song, a book,
Yeah.
politics, a TV show, something. And you tell them that, you've seen the same show as them. They're getting something wrong in the timeline. You're correcting them. And
Right.
just not going to acknowledge it, or they're going to tell you that you're wrong. You have the burden of proof to prove yourself that they are wrong. And you go through all that and they don't even care. Now, I've learned that myself,
Mm-hmm.
that you can't get proof on something and then you spent like hours trying to prove them wrong and they're just going to dismiss it anyways. So don't even do it. Don't even prove yourself ever. Just be like, whatever, and move on.
I've personal experience. If I share it with you, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. It was someone I dated many years ago, and I remember, and it was a criticism. I think I'd asked them, what was the point of that? That helped nobody. It just made both of us look stupid. I mean, I probably could have phrased it better.
Mhm.
2 weeks later, I kid you not, 2 weeks later, at about 2 o'clock in the morning, she rang me to tell me why she had to do that. I hadn't even a clue what she was talking about. She had to remind me. I'd long forgotten about it,
Oh, yeah.
but she'd held on to it for 2 weeks. And even though she'd seen me quite a few times,
Yeah.
2 weeks later, rang me at about 2 o'clock in the morning to explain why she had to do what she did. And
Yeah.
I'm, what?
Resentment towards you. Resentments, no matter what you do,
Mhm,
for me, what I do is, I'm taking either mental notes or I'm actually writing these things down
mhm,
about all these infractions that you have done to me, you know.
right,
And so, and because I don't want to look stupid. So I'm not going to bring these little things up to you all the time, because
mhm,
you're always failing me, Darren. You're always failing. So I'm always keeping this mental list of all the things that I either they're devalues, right? So I'm starting to
mhm,
devalue you, all these things that you're doing. And then later on, I can bring them up in one big tsunami
mhm,
or just the one little thing. And I've had that happen to me where the other person was holding a resentment too.
uh-huh,
I really believe it's like fearful avoidance or something, to where they fear conflict. So they're going to hold all of this in. And
mhm.
then when they're just too anxious and upset and shit, that they're going to throw it up on you or whatever. I usually keep a whole bunch of shit in and then I'll just throw the whole thing
For whenever you
at
need
you.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got a
Yeah.
questions come up. I'm going to call it up. So there we go. Look, I've learned how to do this. Can you see that question okay? Or do you want me to read it out to you?
It's really
Okay,
tough.
I'll read it out to you. It comes from Matthew and it asks, As a father who is alienated from his 3 young sons due to a controlling mother with unfair relationship dynamics, how might I achieve getting her to cooperate in unleashing my children to me? I think a better way of phrasing it would be allowing me to see my kids.
Yeah. Well, number one, you better get the law involved so you have visitation rights. And do not have any guilt in getting mommy in trouble with the law if she does not comply and let you see the children. That's number one, always. Okay. Keep the paperwork with you in the car just in case you ever have to call the cops to see the kids. You have to show the
Mhm.
cops the paperwork. I had to go through this with somebody else, a dad that was keeping my kid away from me. So
Mhm.
that's number one. Number two, as long as you are not challenging me, be very agreeable, make
Mhm.
me believe that I am in control and I'm going to give you more time. I'm going to give you, I'll even give you extra time, you know, if as
Mhm.
long as I feel like I'm in control. So if you're very combative with her, if you try to guilt her, shame her, or whatever, she's going to punish you more and more and more. Also,
You'll
I don't know.
become more defensive, more aggressive, more defensive,
Yeah.
whichever.
But if you're like, oh, I don't, okay, can I see the kids this time or that time? Oh, no, you don't. Okay, that's fine. And always treat her like a child almost, to where you have a couple different things that you want, but you want both. And then she gets to choose the one that you want. She'll get to choose. Like, do you Labor Day or Memorial Day? Which one is better? Type thing, and let her choose the type of thing or whatever. Because if you make plans, she's going to fuck them up just to mess with you and be like, I'm in control, So just be very flexible. And then if she thinks that you're having too much free time and you're having a good time with a new woman and you're doing all this shit, she'll be, you take the kids. You take the kids. Like the kids are a burden and shit. And then
Mm.
you're going to get your way and stuff. That, you have to play with her head a little bit. And does that make sense?
What it sounds like is make it think it's her idea.
She has to think that it's her idea for giving you extra time. Because if you have too much free time to live your best life and everything, she's going to be like, I don't get to do anything with my life. You go see the kids. She might give them to you every single week, you know, just to have her free time and space. Right now, as long as you're not, because I don't know you, guy, so I
Mm.
don't know if you're toxic yourself, or why you guys got into a fight to have a divorce type thing. She could have a lot of resentments towards you too.
Mhm.
If you betrayed her in any way, you are going to be punished, sir. So it really depends how your divorce went down,
Mm.
because
And
nobody divorces for.
I know this would be situational. It's going to depend on both parties, maybe one party in particular, if there is something going on with them. But sometimes something like family mediation can be useful, and that's where you're negotiating your separation. But because it's family mediation, you're doing it with the focus is on the kids. It's what's in the best interest of the kids. And if you get a good mediator, it's a way of trying to take the ego out of it, because it is always being focused on the kids and not you getting, say, the last word or whatever, not the other person getting the last word. And it's an agreement that both parties agree to together. It's their own agreement. Now, again, that is going to be situational and dependent on who you're working with, I guess.
Yes, and never show emotion in
Mhm.
court or a mediator, ever. This is one thing that victims complain about,
Mhm.
that the narcissist doesn't show emotion. which is making the other party get emotional. Okay. You can Uno reverse that shit. So if you're unemotional, that might create her to become emotional and it'll make her look unstable. Okay. I know that. Why can't we just grow up and, I'm sorry, you're dealing with a child, in an adult body. So sometimes you got to play shady to get what you want from somebody. That's the only language they understand, you know. So, but definitely get the law involved.
Got a question from Angela asking, how do you heal the wound of never being important to your narcissistic family since they never listened to you? What are your thoughts?
Well, that's going to be your area because I haven't healed nothing. This is the reason why I need other people to boost up and stuff. Now, if you're somebody who has low self-esteem and is a codependent on other people, you're a people pleaser because you need that love and everything. So that would be more of you telling people how to boost their own self-worth, right? Because a narcissistic parent, believe me, it has nothing to do with you. The kids, other people, we're mirroring our inner voided disgust, self-loathing, everything onto you. That's not yours. That's mine. That's not yours. It's your mother, your father. That's theirs. You need to give that shit fucking back to them and be like, I don't own this stuff. You told me who I was supposed to be, and I am not that person. You never let me become who, figure it out, be, adventurous and figure out what I always had to please you, the parent, the narcissistic parent, or I could never do anything right. Right. And you always got shit on all the time because you could never do anything right. You have to realize that is not you. They put all this shame on you. That's not yours. It's their fucking shame. It's not your shame.
You're carrying their stuff around with you. Yeah. Something I've said quite a few times is how other people treat you isn't necessarily a reflection on you. It's a reflection on them. Okay.
Right.
No, I'm just saying it the other way around, if you know what I mean, Sarah. The other thing I would say is all of our wounds, all of the things we have. First of all, what we can't do is we can't undo them. But it's about trying to make sense of them. It's about trying to integrate them into our experience. And that's not always easy to do. Because some wounds cut really, really deeply, and we've carried them for a very long time. I always say the antidote to toxic people are decent people. And that's whenever you start to, even, it's not that you have to have a wealth of best friends, but even you just pay attention to whether it's the person that holds the door open for you, or the person that's serving you your coffee with a smile and a thank you, and whatever it is, you pay attention to those little things. Ultimately, I think what keeps people stuck is this hope that eventually the other person, whether it's their family of origin, whether it's their partner, whether it was someone they worked with or their best friend or whatever, there is this part of us that is yearning and hoping that eventually they're going to see us. I hope they're going to see us as we are. They're going to suddenly acknowledge, they're going to apologize, and this is not a nice way of putting it, but I think I said this a few weeks ago on a live stream, and it's a bit James Bond, but it fits. You have to learn to live and let die. You have to let die that hope. You have to abandon hope that if nothing you would ever do or say, no matter what condition you reached, no matter what expectation you met, if nothing ever changed, why do you think it's going to change just because you're showing them how much in pain you are?
Yeah.
That's really not a nice thing to have to come to terms with. But sometimes it is. It's learning to let that go, and that's easier to do when you have a very, or at least a healthier support network around you.
Yes. And this is why a lot of people, they go no contact with their parents because you're sick of it. You're just like, you know, you're your number one cheerleader. And if they're not cheerleading you on in your own choices and decisions, and they're always criticizing the shit out of you, which I understand parents do that anyway. Or, you know, I grew up in, you know, the 80s and shit and 70s. And so it's like, you know, they're always being critical, or, you know, kids are to be seen and not heard type shit, you know. So, you know, of course, a lot of that residue is going to come onto me, you know, to my own kids. But I tried to be the total opposite, to where I would never hit my children. And I was more of a helicopter parent, you know, so I wouldn't let them adult, which is bad, you know, too. You know, it's like you let your kids go off and raise themselves, or you never let them adult because you're always so protective over them and stuff, and don't want anything bad to happen to them, you know, type shit. But I try, you know, and then you try to be the cool parent too, and where, you know, their friends will come over and they think that you're the better parent and everything because everybody else is so strict. Because, you know, I wouldn't want to judge that. I know what it's like to be a teenager. Shit, I still am a teenager in a melting chrysalis, right? But you're gonna fuck up this. You don't, you know, parents are gonna mess up in this, but uh, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I do believe that I was a better parent than my parents, but you fail anyway.
Yeah.
And when your kids watch the dynamic between you and your partner, they're watching, you know, the way that you communicate when you're not getting along, you know, and it's not good. Or they're watching you drink, you know, all the time, and that damages them too. But, you know, I wasn't thinking about that shit. Thinking about, oh, they can hear us yelling. You know, it's like you don't care when you're in the moment type thing, you know.
Mhm.
So you're showing your kids what love is through you and your spouse. And it's not good. It's not a good teaching. It's not a good lesson, you know. You're not
Mhm.
being and forgiving. You're not being calm and understanding. You're not none of that. But, you know, I don't know that why am I so defensive? You know, you don't know the core of what. If you don't know the core, you can't stop it. You know,
Yeah.
you feel justified in everything that flies off your lips in in,
Mhm.
in any relationship, even a goddamn coworker. You know, you feel justified in the attack, especially when you're being criticized or anything. You know, see, I'm the type of person, because I got, you know, some darker flavor too. So I know how to fake being agreeable. I can
Mhm.
fake saying I'm sorry. I can fake empathy and stuff like that, just so I
Mhm.
can get what I want and climb the ladder. You know, I know how to kiss my boss's ass, you know, and not challenge, you know. So there's like the narcissist who is challenged by everyone, and they'll even challenge their boss and shit. And it's
Mhm.
like, I read 48 Laws of Power, man. And I also, when I read 48 Laws of Power, I was like, oh, I already do all of this shit, you know, just, I don't know, the narcissistic collective consciousness, I call it. It's like,
Okay.
you call it a playbook. I didn't read a book. I know these things. You know what I mean? So,
Become
but
it's like instinctive, it's natural. How would you describe it?
yeah. So that's why I like watching all of these things. Like I just learned about Darvo like 3 years ago or whatever.
Mhm.
And I'm like, of course, it's a criticism. So of course I'm getting mad, right? For somebody saying, "Oh, narcissists do this." And I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, normal people would do that shit too if they felt criticized, right?
Mhm.
Um, like denying that you did something if you feel that it wasn't that big of a deal, or you feel justified in whatever. You're going to deny the feelings of the other. You're
Mhm.
you're you're upset at me because of something that I said or did. I'm going to deny that I tried to, on purpose, create that feeling in you, you know? And then I'm going to reverse it, of course, and be like, why are you fucking, shitting
You're
on me?
attacking
Yes,
me.
I am. Yes, I'm going to be the victim because you're attacking me. What are you doing? And I'm not trying to mind fuck you. And it's so weird when I found this out. Um, I actually did it unconsciously after I found out what that acronym was. And I was like, holy
Mhm.
shit. Oh my God. Yeah. So it was really weird. But one thing is, uh, uh, when I get to learn about all these things, even just the overt behaviors, right?
Mhm.
I watch myself a lot more, you know? I don't, the automatic stuff, it cuts down a lot of the automatic things because now you're like, wait a second. Responding in that way is toxic. And I know that the person on the receiving end is going to get hurt. Now, I still don't feel for you. I don't have the feeling, the empathetic
Yeah.
connection of I'm sad for you that I'm doing this to you. But because I know that you're going to feel a certain way and that isn't my intent. Now, I
Mhm.
can be mad at you, do something to hurt your feelings because I want your feelings hurt because you hurt my feelings. But
Mhm.
I don't want to hurt your feelings, if that makes sense. So
No, it
that's a
does.
that's a growth thing.
I think there's something in that, and we talked about this last time. I think there. See, when we're talking about narcissism, and I would say this about pretty much anything, it's never a one size fits all. There's going to be different intensities, if you will, different blends, different tones, different things going on. But regardless of someone's behavior, it's the difference between the intent. There, someone can be maladaptive. Someone can be very overly defensive, whether the threat's real or not. But then there can also be intent, and that's when you're getting into the real dark personality types. That when there is intent to hurt someone. For the person on the other side of that, the person who's happened to experience, sometimes it's regardless of what's going on, they're still the ones experiencing it's still going to hurt every bit as much, depending on what's going
Yeah,
on. But for the person who's doing it, the likes of the Darvo, you're quite right. It's a defense mechanism. I feel like I'm being unfairly criticized or I'm being unfairly attacked or whatever. Even if I did something that hurt you, it wasn't my intent to hurt you. So I'm feeling attacked that you're pointing it out. But then you will get the others, other people again. They're more very manipulative, more maybe Machiavellian, and it's maybe it is like a playbook. This is just what I do. Anytime somebody brings something up, but again, it's not always easy to discern the difference.
yeah. No, it's not. So hurt, you really do have to protect yourself. And I know that
Mhm.
you care about, your person. I also know that you want to uh, get that love that you didn't get when you were a kid from somebody who is acting like your parent. We're attracted to our parents, the
Mhm.
personality unconsciously. You can hate your fucking parent, but now you're attracting everybody that's like your parent. You know what I mean? And you're
Mhm.
hoping, you have hope that needs to die, that this person is going to change for you. And unconsciously, you start doing more and more and more for them. And they're going to just do less and less and less. I always tell people,
Yeah.
do less, do less. And if
Well,
you don't do enough, you don't do it. Good. Get the fuck out of here. Leave me alone then. Go away.
I
Go away.
I I
Tell.
I would phrase it that, and again, it's going to be situational. It's going to be depending on the person, what their intent is, and what's going on with them. But the first time you do something, the first time you might compromise or something, um, okay, maybe it is a little bit of a test. Maybe it is an adjustment to see, are you flexible? By the second time you're doing it, it's pretty much expected.
Yeah.
And
Well,
by
yeah.
by the third time you're doing it, it's not enough because it hasn't taken away, whatever's going on with me. It's not enough. You've fallen short somehow. So I think that's the process. And you're saying about you do less.
Yes. Well, the person on the receiving end, stop doing more. If they're giving you the silent treatment because they're upset with something, you made them feel a certain way, right? And then it doubles as a punishment. I'm not going to talk to you or whatever. Now, one thing. Now, I'm going to tell you the what I want. What I want you to do. I want you to try to communicate with me. I'm giving you the silent treatment. I still want you to communicate with me. I still want you to tell me, because I fear rejection. So I'm afraid to communicate with you about how I was feeling, because I'm afraid my PTSD from childhood is that you're going to dismiss me.
So
Now, we're
what you're
not
looking
talking
for is
about,
reassurance. So I was going to say,
I
what?
need you to be the parent.
Okay.
I need you to be the bigger. I need you to, I'm throwing the tantrum. You need to, be like, okay, I'll give you some space if you want it, but I want you to know that I'm here. And then you keep checking in with me and everything. Then I can be angry with you, say my thing, and then I'm going to melt back into human form. Basically, I'm splitting on you. I'm doing all this shit to you. And then I'm going to melt back. And then everything's going to be okay. As long as I don't discard you, if I'm just raging out on you and everything, I'm like, fuck you forever, and just whatever. But I'm still going to melt back into human form, down the road. And remember, toxic, and I'm just telling you what I want as the narcissistic person. I want you to have to be the adult type thing.
Well, here's a question. And again, I know this is going to be situational, but why do narcissists need everyone to obey them? And I think in a lot of cases, yes, it is obedience. I think sometimes there is a skewed version of respect. You might hear something like, I need you to respect me. You need to respect me more. And sometimes, particularly with narcissistic parents, when they say respect, what they really mean is obedience.
Yes.
So why do they need everyone to obey them? So if I don't want to add to someone's question, but if I would add another wee bit, it's not so much the obey, it's the maybe the always the affirming, the validating as well. Maybe that would be an aspect to that too.
Yeah. So, and I get anxious if everything is not going the way that I want it to. Okay. So I have to control you to regulate my emotions. You actually have so much more power than you think over the narcissistic person. We're trying to obey, do what we say, so we are not dysregulated. You have the power to make us dysregulated. You see, you go against what we want. We're going to get angry. We're going to become dysregulated.
Yeah.
The key is to understanding yourself, your own childhood trauma. Stop trying to make this person love you, this empty vessel of a robotic human to love you, and then you'll be able to not be controlled and to be like, no, I am not going to have this attachment towards the ghost of my past. You are the ghost. You are a ghost of my. And no, I'm not going to be attached to that shit. This ain't paranormal fucking activity. No, no. And you're going to take yourself out of that situation. Then we get into the hoovering and, all of, but you won't be hoovered if you don't have that need for this person to save you. You think this person is going to save you from the dysregulation that
it's all being externalized.
yes.
Okay, and you need the if I put it to you this way, if I'm phrasing this wrong, tell me. It's like you need external stability in
Yes.
order to feel internal
Yep.
stability.
Yes.
Okay.
This
And
is why, narcissistic injuries, just real or imagined criticism, real or imagined abandonment, rejection, envy. You do nothing. You do nothing except be you and do your shit. I could envy the hell out of you for having, a bunch of subscribers, right? And I could just be fuck Darren, fuck Darren. He wants me to have a channel, fuck him, some shit, right? It could be anything. It could be a really beautiful woman, that I envy, and she's really nice and sweet, and it's like, I'm going to find out where her chink in her armor is so I can feel better about myself. It's really petty, girly, and terrible. Even just to get this person to like me, and if she likes me, she'll take advice from me, and I can fuck up her life in that way, all because of envy. I mean, it's terrible. It's so fucking stupid. You have to watch your back. You have to back all the time. If you're doing very well in life, you got a target on your back, from petty, envious assholes. So, that's why you don't know who your friends are. You just now, I'm a paranoid person, Darren. So if I'm getting like off in my paranoia of, being like, everybody's out to get you, that's my way. You always think somebody's out to get you. It's a dog eat dog world.
well, I remember when I was a student, I had a lecturer, and I remember he said something. It was quite witty, but he says, "Just because I'm paranoid, it doesn't mean no one's following me." I have another question, and I do apologize. I missed this earlier because I saw we notice, but I missed the question. And the question is, what really drives Sarah, sorry, what really drives Sarah and other narcissists to reveal all of this science to us? What really drives them to do it? So, what drives you to share what's going on with you internally? To tell people, even just coming on this channel, never mind on your own, when you're talking about how you're experiencing things and what something means to you, and even giving advice on how to handle certain situation. What's the drive there?
The beginning of the drive to start a channel is very narcissistic. It's attention, right? Attention. Look at me. I'm cool. I'm giving you secrets. Aren't I amazing? Aren't you lucky that I get to tell you this stuff? Then after, because to me, people are like cattle, right? You're all just NPCs. You don't need, I can fuck with you like this. You're so easy. But when I started, people started asking me questions and everything, really having like these relationships with people, or even them wanting to call me and talk about what they're going through and stuff, and me helping them through things, I started being like, oh my god, you guys are real people. You're not just these little caricatures, these little puppet things, right? You have feelings, you have lives, you have goals, you have dreams. You're hurt, and somebody like me hurt you. And then I know that it's weird, and I don't know if it's because I'm a mom and very protective of my kids, but people who come to me for help, I feel very protective over them too.
Okay.
And so I'm just like, I tell them how to protect themselves. I tell them, I give them warnings and everything, because a lot of them do want to stay in these relationships. And I let them know, okay, but this is what you're in for. And all this, yelled at a couple of my callers. They're okay with it and everything, but I'm like, you're not listening. You're not listening. Because I'm just like, I'm trying to protect you here. But yeah, but and it just morphed into something else you know? And then I'm just like, oh, I'm actually pro-social. I'm getting positive attention because I'm actually helping,
Ah,
you know? And it was a very, like, I always liked helping people and helping younger people, like where I worked and everything, just giving them advice. It
yeah.
boosts my team. I'm helping the younger people out and everything. So this is just like on a greater level of that feeling. And it's a positive thing. Now, you'll see some narcissistic people that only talk about over behaviors, and they're getting a lot of views, and they're just like, yeah, piece of shit, they need to die, and all this stuff, instead of like, well, there's a lot going on in here. And when you understand that, not that you can fix it, you can't fix this person, but
Mhm.
understanding the dynamic of all of the mechanisms going on inside of their body, you can remove yourself and be like, oh, it had nothing to do with me. Now,
Yeah.
I pick partners that I like them. I have a certain attachment towards them,
Mhm.
and I want things to work out with them. But the mental illness shit gets all up in the way, with
Mm.
that. And I end up, we end up hurting each other. I get hurt too. But that's besides like secondary supply sources. There's a lot of people out here in like situationship relationships where you're just being used for friends with benefits, and you're just a throwaway person to these people. They lie to you to get what they want. And then, you
Yeah.
a rebound, they're going back to their ex, or somebody
It's
going
more
back.
predatory.
There's a lot of different relationships out there where people are just pieces of shit. And it doesn't mean that, if they cheat on you, they're a narcissist. No, they're an empty fucking piece of shit. You know,
Don't
just,
hold back, Sarah. Just say it like it is. Go, go
I
ahead.
know, but I mean, they're empty. They do not know how to have a healthy relationship. They can't be vulnerable. Or they're just horn dogs, and they just want to dominate the world with their wieners. People come in all shapes and sizes, right?
Yeah.
But the only thing is, for a narcissist, is there's a void inside that can never be filled. It's just a black
Mhm.
hole. So there's not enough. And once you understand that there's nothing you could have done to fill that hole, then I want you to feel free of that guilt and obligation to
Mhm.
the person. There's nothing you could have done at all. So, you got to wash your hands of that shit. If a narcissistic person admits that they have issues and they do want to work on it, you know, it's a lifelong process. It's not a
Mm.
quick fix. Some people are like, oh, go to therapy. Oh, because you think I'm going to go one fucking time, I'm going to be a miracle. Miracle.
6 sessions later, I'm a wonderful new person. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of us, that darker flavor, that we're just going to learn to mask better. But
Mhm.
then you would have to be okay with that too. Being with somebody who's just a mask all the time, that can't be vulnerable, but they're
Mm.
treated well. But that better be, you better be okay with that. If you want
Mm.
some charming that's going to be emotionally available to you, you better date a therapist, right, Darren? Because they got their own shit going on too,
Yeah.
and I don't know. People are weird. Relationships are weird, and I feel like, this is just my theory, because I act more like a man than a woman, and
Mhm.
so many men, uh, uh, they could be labeled narcissistic just for being a man, you know. And so, yeah. So I always say that women should never be mad at me because, I'm abusing your boys. You should be trying to be like me, honey.
Mm. Here's a question. Is there a closeness to dismissive avoidance because it feels so similar.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. So you understood the question. I was going to try and pick it apart, but you get the question. Okay.
I just made a video. My last video was avoidant attachment style versus NPD.
Uh-huh.
I'm both.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to pick apart, what Darren. It's just because I'm not a psychologist, a therapist, and nothing, right? I just know how I feel. I just know what I read, what the professionals say that's wrong with me, and then I reflect on all that stuff. And when I look at avoidant attachment, I mean, the overt behaviors look like narcissism. The overt behaviors. I mean,
Yeah.
not abuse, but the real, like, get your
Yeah.
feet, get the fuck away from me. Why are you such a pussy? Why are you so stuff like that?
Yeah.
Just get away from me stuff. And they say that, avoidance, they do care, but they can't be vulnerable. That's the whole thing, the vulnerability. I can't be vulnerable either because I see it as a weakness. And yeah, I can care about my partner, but it's how my partner makes me feel about me. I will do things for my partner because it makes me happy, because they make me. If my partner's making me happy, I ain't making you happy. I'm not happy.
Well, there are a lot of things, I think. A lot of things could be going on that often gets mistaken for narcissism. And I'm not saying that there isn't, elements and so on, but even if you think of something like obsessive compulsive personality, so you have someone who's very rigid in their thinking, very rigid in how they do things. They have to be done a certain way, to a certain degree, to a certain standard, and by a certain time. It's very a rigid kind of life, if you know what I mean. And for someone maybe in that kind of environment, even say a workplace environment, and you have someone with obsessive compulsive personality, it doesn't matter what they do. They're halfway through their job and this person's going to just take over and complete it for them, because it's not being done the right way. And they can get angry and so on if things aren't done to a particular standard. And from the outside, that might look like narcissism because of the rigidity, but it's not. It's something different. So there can be a lot of crossovers in the presentations of some things, but it's a very different engine that's driving it, if I put it that way.
But if somebody, okay, and this is what's confusing, because in the beginning of the relationship, I think that avoidant people, they can also love bomb you as well. And they're faking these emotions, though. Just like this is what I believe. They're faking it because it's not consistent. Okay. A healthy person will have a consistent behavior all the time. It's not going to, yes, you're going to have ups and downs and difficulties, and stuff, but they're not going to one day just be all love and light, and then the next day they're locking down. Everything's under lock and key, and they're never going to open up and say nothing again and give you, what you need ever again. If they're giving you what you need in the beginning, and that slowly starts to fade away, it's fake. The beginning is fake for sure. The future faking, it's not real.
Creating the fantasy.
Yes. And this is why I tell you guys, please do not move in together, get married or pregnant right away when you meet somebody. You don't know anybody. You need to spend a good chunk of time, year and a half, 2 years, consistently seeing this person's behavior, because I can't fake that I don't have something wrong with me, for 2 years. No, you're seeing some shit within the first month, my boy. So,
Well, on that, Sarah, would it be fair to say that sometimes what we find is we confuse Now, I know when we fall in love, everything is amazing. The world's a lovely place, and we can't stop thinking of each other. Um, but would it be fair to say that whenever we fall in love, if someone is doing all this love bombing and that there is intent there, if you know what I mean, we're confusing the intensity with love. Would that be fair enough to say? The intensity of the relationship, wanting to move it really fast, bringing you flowers, bringing you chocolates, cooking you your favorite meal, sending you a wee text, just thinking about you, all of that stuff, and then wanting to move in within a month or so, or within 2 months or whatever. Would it be fair to say we're confusing love with the intensity?
Yes. Um, it's flooding it's flooding your dopamine. It's like
Mhm.
it's drugs. When you first do drugs, it's the best high you're ever going to have in your life. And then for the rest of your life, you're going to try to get back to that high, which you're not going to get back to. So it's the same with these relationships. And with me, I love love bombing. I love it, love, love, love it. I love that feeling of, just learning everything about this person. I have to know
Mhm.
everything. And it is because I don't want to get hurt. So I really have to data mine you and make sure that I'm protected and everything. So learning
Mhm.
everything about you, learning your favorite, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm buying you shit and I'm doing all this nice stuff for you. I'm cook bombing you, sex bombing you. Everything is just so great. Then I start paying attention to your personality, your inconsistencies,
Mhm.
your things. I'm actually, and this is bad on me, but because I don't trust anybody. So I have to protect
Mhm.
myself by looking for your evil, your deception, your something. And
Mhm.
this is also projection, because I think that you think like me and you're just being sneaky and hiding shit. It's fucking hilarious. It's like, what am I doing? It's so weird. And then, but I do find things of why I should not be with you, or can I compromise some things? Because I can compartmentalize like a mother sucker. I am so good at compartmentalizing, as long as I value you in other parts that are very important to me. I can push the other bullshit aside. But if you're really just pissing me off constantly with, terrible stuff, um, I'm going to get rid of you. And it's not going to be a nice breakup. It's going to be a very cold and evil discard.
Well,
And that's another thing. I have to scar your heart. You have to remember me. Yeah, you have to remember me. So I have to
why
destroy you
why is
at the
why is
end.
that important? Why is that important?
I don't want to be forgotten, Darren.
Even after it's ended, you don't want to
Yeah,
be forgotten.
I don't want to be forgotten. Plus, I know that if I wound you, which I am wounding your inner child.
Mhm.
Believe I'm hurting myself through you. Okay. So the pain that was caused to me, you're my mirror and I have to hurt you. It's weird. There's a bunch of shit in here and I got to get it out and hurt you. And how dare you not be perfect? How dare you? I
Wow.
wasted all this time on you. I, you know,
Wow.
and you
When
failed.
you
You failed.
when you say that, what comes to mind is something I've heard so many times from people.
Yeah.
Um, you meet, there's all the love bombing, there's creating this fantasy of each other as much as of this wonderful relationship. But what you're saying is the whole time you're keeping yourself safe by data mining all the little falls and falls. Now, when it comes to the idealized version, I think the last time we were talking, I think I said this about how the real and the ideal very rarely meet, but whenever they do, it's absolutely wonderful. But they can't do that all the time. There's going to be moments when. So whenever the ideal isn't being met, you have this. You have a lot of information that is showing how this person is falling short of the ideal, or they're not the relationship isn't the way you want it to be.
Mhm.
And if I can paraphrase what you said a moment ago, it sounds a bit like, I put you on a pedestal. How dare you betray me like that? Who do
Yes.
you think you are?
Yes. And they didn't ask to be put on a pedestal. I mean, unless they're
Mhm,
narcissistic themselves and stuff.
mhm,
But, which some are, but I can smell that out in them too, obviously. I know that you're narcissistic. So I'm going to feed you everything that you want.
mhm,
And this is the other thing. I'm going to give you everything you want, and I'm the supplier, right? And I am the best supplier. I am the best. So now some people, when they break up with a narcissist, they're like, I'm grade A supply, right? And I'm just like, yeah, you were used. Yeah, wear that fucking crown, right? You were used. But I data mine the shit out of this person. I give them everything they want, and then I take it away when they misbehave. So I'm putting you up on a pedestal, and I will
mhm.
knock that down, and I will take away all of my supply from you on purpose, and then leave you with nothing. And then you got to beg me back because you missed the supply that I am providing. I do believe that people in our relationship, when we're love bombing you, we're giving you lots of self-esteem supply.
Mhm.
This
Yep,
is
yep.
what we're doing. We'll also find out about your childhood and about everything that goes on with you, finding out what you need, and give that to you in abundance. You are drowning. We're just dopamine, effing the hell out of your, and and then it will be taken away. And this is what's going to teach you and train you how to behave, or we're going to, take away supply from you.
If I can put this back to you, this is something I think I said in a video, or it might have been a live stream, but I'm pretty sure I said it at one point. It's like you become conditioned to believe the person who hurts you is also the person who will heal you.
Yes.
So you're chasing them
Now,
for.
everything I said, when you look at it on the overt behaviors of
Mhm,
what I just said, it's going to seem insidious and evil, right?
mhm,
But I'm the broken one. I'm the broken one also. And I need you to tell me how great I am because of all the supply that I'm giving you. You see? So it's really a give and take for both of us. I need
mhm.
you just as much as you need me. You can discard me and I'm going to be in a pile of shit, you know? So it's this is where the game comes in, where it's like, okay, who's going to train who first, type of shit. It's terrible.
Mhm.
You end up kind of having a race of who's going to discard you first. It's like, I have to be the one that lets you go, otherwise you have power over me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering because again, I've in uh, life, people I've dated, but even friends have said the same thing. They were dating someone and things weren't so great and they ended up breaking up. But what they would do is they would get better again. They'd get together again just for that person after a week or two to dump them.
Yeah.
So that's really just getting back together so that I can feel in charge again, if you know what I mean,
I,
by discarding you.
I've done that. Yes, I've done
Hmm.
that. Where only once somebody got overly sensitive over
Mhm.
something. It was so stupid. He thought I was making fun of his manhood. Okay. And I was not. It was actually a dig on myself, and he took it the wrong way. Anyway, um, he just discarded me out of fucking nowhere. He was like, I'm done with you, blah. And then I was suffering for like 2 whole months. I mean, I'm crying, I'm drinking, I'm puking, I'm, just totally emotionally dysregulated and everything. He
Mhm.
finally unblocked me. And this is a borderline man, okay? Our greatest nemesis, the goddamn borderlines. And he unblocked me. And then I got to get back together with him for 2 weeks. He was not treating me the same that he was before. I was
Mhm.
not being put on a pedestal. I was not this motherfucker's everything. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh no. So the first little tiff we got into, I discarded him. He discarded me for 2 months. I discarded him for 7. 7. You don't, yeah, it's going to be double worse for you. You know, this fuck you. You know, you don't treat me like your friend. I'm not your friend. I was your everything. And now I'm just some secondary supply source. Oh no, I'm nobody's secondary. Nothing. Nothing. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Sorry, my shit's leaking out. But you know, this is how I feel. This is how I feel, you know. So yes, I got back together, and then I was very hyper vigilant. I was watching him and I was making sure how is he treating me and all this stuff. And
Mhm.
then and then I was feeling like, oh, I'm not, you know, number one anymore. So I was looking
Mhm.
for a way out. So think about this too. You can be with a narcissistic person and they could be looking for a way out for months, a couple months, waiting to take off from you and pretending that everything is fine when they're actually trying to find, you know, a way to get the fuck away from you.
Mhm.
Not everybody is so overtly abusive and pushing you away. Not, you know, not always. And they can be trying to find a new partner to monkey branch into. I did that too with my first husband.
Mhm.
I was looking for a new partner to get the hell out of there. Um, yeah. So I did that as well.
So,
Yeah.
well, just on that, there's a question. How do narcissists choose a specific person as a target? Do they want weak people or do they want to use strong people? Now, I think this is going to be a situational question, but before I say what I think, what are your thoughts on that? How do you choose someone?
Um, I have um, for a partner or a main supply source for me, um, I want power couple status, and I have to I have to idealize you. So there has to be something really cool about you because I'm going to say, that's my man. That's my man. That's my, you know, he's a bad motherfucker. That's him. That's mine. You know, for secondary supply sources, I used to look for depressed men because they are so easy to love bomb. You love bomb them,
Mm.
and they're just going to be like, and they're just going to be puppy dogs, like, oh, don't take away your attention from me and stuff. And they're
So
so easy to control.
you offer them the thing that they feel is missing in their lives.
Yes, yes. A main supply partner that is a bright shining star. It's more of a challenge for me to get them. So I feel like it's a prize that I won, you know. If you're too
Uh,
fucking easy to get, it's like I'm going to not give a shit. It's just going to be like, you're a
so
dime a dozen. You're too easy.
it's the
But
chase.
huh?
It's the chase.
It's the chase of, yeah, getting this person, you know, to even to get them away from another partner. That is competition. That is with, you know, I can steal your man. I had to work for it. I had to, you know, and I don't do the slutty, you know, sexy, whatever. That's too easy. You know, you can get a man fucking show your boobs. Let them think that they're going to get laid, and yeah, you can get a man so easy. But getting into their head and making them addicted to you, you know, that's more of a challenge when they're with somebody else, you know. But if you're like single and the other person's single and everything, it's still a challenge to get them to like you. You're almost anxious too because you really want this guy, you know. And yeah, it's and they're more valuable. They hold value.
Mhm.
It's like, I don't want to, this isn't somebody that is easily discardable. You know, I really need them to like me. They're going to boost my self-esteem up really fucking high, you know, and I want to feed off of that, you know. So I'm going to give them a lot. I'm going to give them a lot of me. So yeah.
Well, I think, and I mentioned about it, I think it's situational. I think it's also, it's maybe dependent on what it is you want. Because if it is attention, if it is supply, maybe it is what you say. But um, sometimes you might find someone and they're looking for someone with status. It's like at a party, a social gathering. They want the person with the most popular person, or the one with the most status, so they will gravitate towards them to ingratiate themselves into that company. Other times it will be they're looking for a partner, so they're looking for the most attractive person in the room. Other times, if it is maybe, as you say, just looking for some maybe secondary supply, then yeah, maybe they are going to look for someone vulnerable, someone who's depressed, someone's whatever. So I believe it really depends on what someone's looking for, the sort of person that the predatory type would target. It's really dependent on what they're looking for. Would that be fair to say?
Yes. Yes. A lot of women fall for the hobosexuals, the
The what?
homosexual, the
I don't even.
homosexual, the hobo, the bum that gives you all types of love and everything, and they treat you like you're the most wonderful woman on the planet, but they just need a place to live. And then
Right.
you take them in, you build them up, and then they're done with you and they just toss you away like garbage, like, oh, thank
The
you for
parasites.
building me up. Yes.
Parasites. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So that's why also when you're grieving, do
Uh-huh.
not get into a relationship when you're grieving, because I mean that's blood in the water to a predator. It's like, oh, they're so sad. Well, I'm going to make them feel really good, and then they're going to
Oh,
be attached to you, for that. So when you're hurting, keep those.
this is going to sound strange based on what you've just said. I met my other half at my mum's funeral.
Yep.
She was a friend of my brother. She'd known him for years. I'd never met her, but she'd come to my mum's funeral and it said hello. And then about 2 or 3 years later, we bumped into each other and just got started talking, and then we started dating after that. But I think it's just when you said that, it's the first thing came into my head.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Or when you're like Chris Watts met his wife, the guy who killed his wife and daughters, and pregnant wife and two daughters.
okay.
He met her when she was sick, and she like
Mhm.
had something going on with her where she had to go to the hospital all the time and stuff. He predatorized her to be
Mhm.
the white knight, and he's actually a psychopath. So, yeah. You have to, if the sky is always falling on your ass, if you are
Mhm.
always a victim, of life and everything, you're going to be predatorized. The supportive knight, white knight is going to come
Yeah.
in, or even a woman will come in and be. Married men were so easy to predatorize
Mhm.
because um because you're going through it. Marriage isn't always perfect, and it's
Yeah.
not always down and but if you got kids and the wife, and you're working and you just don't have any excitement going on or anything, you just bring your sexy ass in there and start just boosting their ego and shit. They will cheat on their wife. They will
Mhm.
cheat. I did experiments to see if men would cheat. I never physically did anything, but I just got them all fucking addicted to me. And then I discard them because you're a piece of cheater shit. And I'm doing it to punish you. I'm punishing you for being a cheater. But they do. They're just like, oh my God. I mean, you
Well,
can you can say it's entrapment and shit, but still, you should have some morals. Fuck.
I suppose I'm not going to disagree. Yeah, you should have some morals. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. If you're married, if you're in a relationship, yeah.
Yes.
But there's another question. Just I suppose would lead on from that. Do you feel like your target is your mission, and if they get away, then you failed at your mission?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What
I
makes
do
them? What
remember.
makes them a mission?
I'm bored.
Okay.
Okay. So, for narcissists, the narcissistic side, it's to boost their self-esteem. Everything is to fill that empty hole. For people that are ASPD psychopaths, they're now, just because you have ASPD doesn't mean that you're a psychopath, but I got both. Okay. And the darker side is about boredom. I'm bored. So I'm going to play, I'm going to play with you because I'm bored. So it's a lot of work to target a new person. Okay. I mean, unless you're, young and hot as shit, Playboy bunny stuff, or, super handsome and chiseled all up the fuck, you got to work it. You have to use your, charisma. You have to use your charm, your, whatever. If you're not, flashing your titties, that's too easy. So, to target somebody, it relieves your boredom, but it's a lot of work. I mean, this is, CIA shit, trying to infiltrate your mind type stuff. And it does, and it's very exciting and fun. But when that's happening to you, the end game, and that's why it's darker traits. The end game is destruction. So, my main supply source is, I really want you forever type thing. I'm not here to destroy you. I need you on a pedestal. I need you on that pedestal. When you do something to humiliate me and to make me look bad, you're fucking up my image. You're fucking with, and I'm going to punish you, of course, but that's hurtful. Secondary supply sources is for fun and,
entertainment.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that, of course, psychopathic people can go after a full-time partner, but they can also have a double life, so they're not, they're all fucked in the head too, but they're going to be more cold and, standoffish. They may fake love and light here and there, and it's intermittent, but it's not so bad like a borderline where you got the mood shifts big time. The shifts are so small, it just feels like you're being planted seeds in your head of doubt, self-doubt and stuff. It's very insidious. Like, I have heard this through calls and stories and stuff. And I'm just, why would you do that to your main supply source? It boggles my fucking mind. Like, why would you do that? Now, I understand the double life, but why not treat your main supply source, great, have your fucking double life? It's like, why are you trying to erode? And I think it's the narcissism, the self-image and everything. Why would you make yourself look bad? What the fuck is wrong with you? I don't know.
Well, I think it's interesting you say that, because something I've said once or twice before, that how a lot of narcissistic behaviors, they can be very destructive, but I think that ultimately they're very self-destructive.
Yes.
Because even if there is that person you want in your life,
yes,
for whatever reason, you love them, you're married, you have kids, you have a family, whatever, the very things you do to try to keep them and to try to make everything perfect is the very thing that ultimately pushes them away.
Yes, I agree. And it really depends on, the partner that you pick too. Like I said earlier, because I was with somebody for 25 years. So, it's like the dynamic that you have, with somebody. But it's not, the outside world will think that it's one thing, but you're just empty, on the inside. I was journaling one time, quit drinking for 8 months. And I was like, I was spending more time with the family. We were doing more stuff together and everything was really good, but I wrote in there, but I don't know what this void feeling is. There's something inside. So I could feel it. There's something not there that I can't fill, but my head is clear and I'm able to participate, better, with my people and everything, but there's still an emptiness and I don't know what that was. I remember writing that down. I don't know. I mean, I know what it is now, but I didn't know back then. So, but when you're with somebody who also has addiction problems as well,
Mm.
if you drink, you're gonna do reckless shit too. I would
Lowers
drink.
your inhibitions, yeah.
Yeah, you can get online and you can, fuck with people and all this stuff. Care, you're just like, oh, whatever. Well, I mean, I don't feel guilty anyways. I'm bored, Darren.
I have quoted you quite a few times since the last time we talked. It's a wonderful phrase you used, that you said that social media is a narcissist's wet dream.
Yeah.
I just thought that is such a powerful statement. I've quoted you quite a few times on that. So.
Yeah, because well, back in the day, it was just your community, right? So you would have to get it from like work, um,
Yeah.
your social group, and everything was really close knit. Now you have the whole world at your fingertips, and you can be whoever you want to be. You can be a totally fake whatever, and no one will ever know you. You can have long distance relationships. No one will ever know you. You can fake whatever. Oh, I love you. Type thing. And then you're just completely dead inside and you're just like, whatever. Or you could be having multiple relationships. They don't know because they can't grab your phone. They can't see what you're doing. Nothing. And as we know, people who are married can have, cheat with a bunch of people. They don't know because they're putting the facade that everything's fine at home. And then, I'm going to the gym when they're actually meeting somebody, in the parking lot. It's like I really believe that social media has ruined people's lives. My narcissism ramped the way the fuck up because of social media. Because before I was more like this low level sadness because I didn't have enough supply. So like being a stay-home mom, you just have your kids and you're being a good wife and everything because you don't have other people interfering in your marriage and stuff like that. But then you get, social media comes along and you have your phone and now you're just in your fucking phone all the time, just feeding off of it, It's like, I mean, it's, just shooting up with social media all the damn time and getting supply from everybody, and it's fun and everything, but it feels like, but you lose your connection with your real human people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
It's very superficial. That's all it is. And it's had this conversation with another therapist recently, and we were talking about AI and how it can be very useful. It can help you to do certain things and help you research, help you draft things. And he talked about drafting emails. And I made the point that, but at what point is it you're getting an AI to draft your email and you send that to someone, or your response to something, or whatever it is, a chat, a text, an email, whatever it is, they're doing exactly the same. So albeit it's surface level connection in the first place, but now it's being removed a step further back because you're not even talking to each other. Your AIs are.
right. Also with these long distance relationships, the feeling of being apart keeps you intertwined longer, with the romance, the future faking, the just fantasy land, because narcissists live in fantasy. We have a fantasy image of ourselves and we believe it. So when you tell me, oh, you're not the baddest motherfucker, you're not queen bee, you know, what the hell with the puppet, and don't talk shit about Mr. Chicken. But, you know, it's like, it doesn't matter what you say to me because I believe that this is who I am, you know, and it's just like, you know, you're just jealous. You're just jealous that
Yeah.
that I think that I'm, you know, this queen of my darkness, you know, or just think of it like witches. You know, if you ever go on Witch Talk and everything, and they got their cauldrons and their cool ass shit and everything like that, you know, that's their fantasy world. People who dress up like vampires, you know, people who read romance novels, they fall into a fantasy too. And you're more susceptible to have a long distance relationship with a stranger who's feeding you all the bullshit that you know, wished that your husband could give you, let's just say.
Yeah.
Like your husband is a real human, has real human feelings, is working and just wants to come home and eat, you know, have sex and drink beer or whatever. And then you have this guy coming in, oh, the love of my life, and writing all this bullshit poetry and all this stuff. And you're like, oh my God, you're so much better than my husband, you know? And a woman can give that to you too, especially with, you know, I desire you and your body and oh my God, and all this shit. And so you have this real life porn star, you know, faking that she's lusting after you when that's not real either. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You think you're talking to Cary Grant, and then you see the real person, and it's me, you know. Hold on a minute.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. It's,
I, it's really important that people understand this so they, you know, really pay attention to the person in front of them instead of thinking that there's something else better out there, you know, that's going to complete you in every way, because the new person has trauma too, y'all. And the person who's presenting themselves as perfect and tells you that you're perfect, they're the most dark. They're the most deceptive. They're the ones that are going to ruin your life. You're
they
going
are
to get
they're
depressed.
they're the predator. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And the thing about me is because I live in fantasy land and everything, and I'm going to pull you into my fantasy world, right? And everything. And, or we're going to have a shared fantasy land, you know, together. And, you know, we're loving it and everything. And this is what's so great in the very beginning. But when reality sets in, it's like, oh, you're not the thing I created. You know, you're not. And that's why you need to watch out for people who really love bomb you to the extreme and who mirror you. I like what you like. Oh, yeah, that's my favorite too. This, that, you know, what we're doing is making you fall in love with yourself just through another person. And then you find out that it was all bullshit. And
Yeah.
then, you know, and betrayal trauma is huge. I'm sure you understand that.
Yeah, I've spoken about it quite a few times. It's yeah, it's much more than just being let down, put it that way. Because that's the thing I always say, you're never betrayed by your enemies. You're only ever betrayed by the people you trust.
Yeah.
That's what makes it
And
hurt so much.
yeah. And that's the thing is, I've been betrayed throughout my life. And how do I get on top of that is to be the biggest betrayer. I'm going to get you first before you do it to me. And the bad part is not only do I hurt people who deserve it, but I end up hurting people who don't deserve it, you know.
Got
And
one last question because I'm mindful of the time, but
okay.
one last question. What would you say are the telling differences between NPD and psychopathy?
Psychopathy, well, to me, the narcissistic person just wants their self-esteem boosted, and all of their defenses are to protect them from shame. And psychopathy You know, if they don't have that narcissistic defensive component and everything,
Yeah.
they don't have shame, they don't have regret, they don't have guilt. A narcissist would, but a psychopath would not. And a psychopath can con you, where a narcissist is just trying to survive and everything. They can look a little similar, I think,
There's a lot of
on,
crossover. Yeah.
yeah, on the outside and stuff. But I think that the psychopath is the predator who targets,
Yeah.
and the narcissist really wants that perfect love. They want wealth. They want, fame. You know, they're this celebrity. I want to be a celebrity. Blah, blah, blah. And the psychopath wants to fly a little bit more under the radar, unless they're, very grandiose politicians and leaders, and, they want power, 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 right? A narcissist does want to control over you and stuff. I think a psychopath is more insidious, that they would, fuck with your head and then gaslight you. I really believe that the psychopath is more of the gaslighter with purpose. And a narcissist would gaslight you because they forget, the past, and then they make up what they believe because of their feelings in the present moment. And then they're going to think that you're gaslighting them if you don't believe in what they believe right in this moment.
Yeah.
Where a psychopath knows they're fucking lying. They know that they're fucking lying. And
and it doesn't bother them.
Right. And, so it's weird having like a combo, because now I can see, like, okay, that's that trait. I'm tapping into feelings that were completely cut off. And it's like, oh shit, is that what shame feels like? I didn't know what that felt like. And I'm like, oh my God, that's what that feels like. And I don't like it. And I want to get away from it and stuff like that. But it's weird because I have these traits, all over the place, and noticing that I'm doing things automatically. I'm doing things unconsciously. It's like I'm doing things that just, it feels, I am my mask. I am my mask. I don't feel like I'm wearing something to, be fake. I know this is, it sounds contradictory, but I feel like this is who I am. Yeah, you fake nice and everything out in the public. How are you? And stuff like that. And, you're nice to get what you need. You're giving back and stuff, But I feel like, when people are like, heal your inner child and stuff, I'm like, there's nothing there. I don't know what it is I have to heal. All I know is to find out what my overt behaviors are, and then not do them, like not do the things that I do see, and or correct things, because I fuck up still all the time. I'll do things and say things and overreact on things, and then I'll just be like, oh God. And then I'll shame myself, and I'll be like, oh, you're bad. Ugh, what are you doing? But if I never did my channel, and I never did all the research and talked to different people and learning more and more about, the way that my brain works and stuff, I would still be a reckless motherfucker out there, because this is who I am. This is who I've always been since I was very small. And so I wouldn't know any different. I would always still blame everything on you. And I would have no shame about it. Nothing.
Like, I always say that awareness is a very powerful thing because it will always give you a choice.
Yes. And when I was going through this, you get to a point when you're figuring all this stuff out where you wish you never learned about yourself.
Yeah.
You wish you were just completely unaware, because it's not a good time. It's not a good time, but you have to get over that hump, But I still still won't go to the depths of inner child work and stuff. I won't go. It's, ugh, I'm a coward. I can't do it. You know, it's like I would rather just be on my best behavior and stuff like that, and take accountability for my mess ups and stuff, and hope I do less and less and less over time and everything. But I don't want to touch. Does that make sense? I don't want to
No, it
touch that.
does. Parts of us we don't want to touch, parts of us we don't really want to have to face. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's not something anyone can be pushed into. I mean, any kind of therapy is not not something someone can be frog marched into and told, do some counseling or do something. It doesn't work. There's something inside us that recognizes something's not working, something's not helping, something needs to be different, something needs to change. And yeah, sometimes we are going to be looking at the parts of us that we're not comfortable with. If we're not ready for that straight away, it doesn't mean we're never going to be ready for it. Maybe at some point you will. Maybe at some point you might feel you don't need to because you're managing things. But either way, it will be your journey.
Yeah. I'm not predatorizing people. So, you know, and I'm trying to help people by throwing myself under the bus to warn people of what people are capable of with these darker traits. So, you know, that's more of my mission to, because if you can protect yourself and stay away, you know, and you're going to have a better life, that's wonderful. And these people who won't have anybody to feed off of, they're gonna have to go get help or isolate themselves, which that's what we want to. It's like, stay away from, stop hurting other people, get help with your shit, you know, and then let the people who want to have healthy relationships fucking bond together, right?
Yeah.
And that's all I want. And I feel that it's always been an uphill battle with all the channels out there just saying, you know, we're just perpetually evil, demonic creatures and stuff. And it's just like, that's not real. But I do understand why you think that, you know. But if you tell a child they're evil long enough, they're going to prove you right.
Believe you. Yeah, they'll start to believe you.
Right. So it's kind of like, can you just say that we're broken children with low self-esteem instead of telling us that we're big egoic people? You're making us out to be these superhuman, you know, creatures, which in the past I would have loved that shit, you know. You're feeding my fantasy.
I was interviewed. I can't remember who it was, but it was about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I was interviewed on someone else's channel, and one of the things I'd said was, when I'd started out, first of all, I didn't think I was going to be talking about narcissism. I was going to be talking about general mental health and relationships, but because I would leave my channel open to answer topics and so on, it's just fallen into this. About 90%, I would say, would all be about narcissism. What I try to do, and I know I get it wrong and I make mistakes, because I'm a human being. Sometimes I mispronounce something, sometimes I put something across in the wrong way, and sometimes my own sarcasm kicks in as well. What I had set out to do was to try to talk about these things without the drama and the intrigue and the sensationalism, because when I was starting out and I was looking at how other people were doing it, there's so many, you know, how did I phrase it when I was being interviewed? I phrased it to them, you know, channels going, narcissists have laser beam eyes, they can see in your soul, and they eat kittens and stuff. Yeah, I'm thinking, what, really? Really? And you're calling yourself a mental health professional? Seriously? You know, it can be. Another guy I was talking to recently phrased it brilliantly. There's the nature and the nurture. It's a bit of both. But what he said was, because a child may have a predisposition for narcissism, psychopathy, things like that, there may be a predisposition. That's not the same as predetermination. environment plays a huge part as well.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, so my genetics, there's a certain component. If I was with like a healthy family and everything, and I would have been, more pro-social from the beginning, or, and not feeling the need to harm other people, or been so paranoid, and stuff like that, but because I grew up in an environment that was very abusive and stuff like that, it makes you feel like everybody is going to hurt you. You have to hurt them first, or it makes you feel, it's got, all this rejection shit because you were rejected, all this fear, that's, covered up by grandiosity, type stuff. Or fucking what, like I always talk shit about the vulnerable presenting narcissists and stuff, because you're making us look bad, you fucking pussies. What are you doing? Stop being whatever. And I understand, to get people to be more sympathetic towards you, because you do have a lot of shit going on inside. But using it, I just hate victimhood. Let's just say it makes me angry. And I can be a little, abrasive on my channel and stuff, because I'm trying to tough love the shit out of you, so you will, feel more powerful against somebody who's broken and just projecting on you. It's like, wake up to this shit. Tell them to fuck off. You don't, I'm all about respect and shit. It's like, don't fucking talk to me like that. Go fucking someplace else, piece of shit, loser. Why am I even with you? You're disgusting. I like to belittle the shit out of people, type thing. So, it's, don't let, I hate seeing somebody, crumble into, a powerless, thing, because that's what I fought against since I was little. You don't get to make me feel this way ever again. I will destroy you. You are the threat. You are the threat. And I know I go about it in a toxic way and stuff, but
I go about it slightly differently.
Yes.
I talk about the difference between victimhood and having been victimized.
Yeah.
Two very different things.
Yes. And I want, pull yourself out of that. Yes, you want to survive this, and then you want to thrive afterwards. You don't want this to be your story of who you are. This is not who you are. This is an experience that you went through for you to learn something from it about yourself. And then you're going to thrive in life. You're going to be so much better than where you were. This is the biggest lesson of your life. And you don't need to repeat this fucking class, every relationship, you just, that's my job. I'll repeat. I'll repeat. I'll make the mistakes. You move on.
Well, on that note, I would like to say it's really fascinating chatting with you again. It was really great to have you on. Where can everybody find you?
I'm on Cluster B Milkshake on YouTube. I barely ever post on Instagram or TikTok. I leave my Instagram open just in case you want to send me a message, or you can email me at clusterbmilkshake@outlook.com. I'm really lazy. So, I usually stay a lot on YouTube. And, doom scrolling is a really terrible thing. It really wastes your whole life. So I'll get rid of my TikTok app, just every once in a while. So I'm not just sitting there all day. I'm human too. I fall into that bullshit, but anyways.
It's an easy habit to fall into.
Yeah, but that's where you can find me. So yeah.
Okay. Everybody, if you haven't already, do check out Sarah's channel. That's some really good information on there. And until the next time, maybe we can do this again sometime.
Yes, and hopefully we'll have to show up like an hour beforehand. So terrible.
Well, it's the thing. I always say it's the thing about technology. It's never going to catch on. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care.